So, look, we're going to encourage them to come back to work. We're going to follow the president's directive in that, and we're going to make sure that we get people in there because at the end of the day, it's about veterans. My hospital employees, if I was confirming this, they have to show up every day. I bring to you today two things that will be at the forefront of my service. These are my dog tags. They're a reminder, just like every other veteran who served, that we're part of a bigger unit. And I also bring this bracelet. It was made for me by a young airman. She was keeping watch each night, and I'd go by and see her, and we'd talk. I was a flight line chaplain at Balad. And she had said one night, she said, I've got something for you. And she ran back into her guard chat, and she came out with this. She said, you're always bringing us something and listening. She said, I want to give you something. Well, what she didn't know is now about 15 years later, if confirmed by this body, this bracelet will be sitting in the Secretary of the VA's office, reminding me every day of the men and women that we serve.
I move that the committee favorably report the nomination of the Honorable Scott Bessent of South Carolina to be Treasury Secretary. Is there a second?
I second.
Having been duly seconded, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Grassley.
Aye.
Mr. Grassley, aye. Mr. Cornyn.
Aye.
Mr. Cornyn, aye. Mr. Thune.
Aye.
Mr. Thune, aye. Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Scott, aye. Mr. Cassidy.
Aye.
Mr. Cassidy, aye. Mr. Langford.
Aye.
Mr. Langford, aye. Mr. Daines.
Aye.
Mr. Daines, aye. Mr. Young.
Aye.
Mr. Young, aye. Mr. Barrasso.
Aye.
Mr. Barrasso, aye. Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson, aye. Mr. Tillis.
Aye.
Mr. Tillis, aye. Mrs. Blackburn. Mrs. Blackburn, aye. Mr. Marshall.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall, aye. Mr. Wyden.
No.
Mr. Wyden, no. Ms. Cantwell.
No.
Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, no. Mr. Warner.
Aye.
Mr. Warner, aye. Mr. Whitehouse.
No.
Mr. Whitehouse, no. Ms. Hassan.
Aye.
Ms. Hassan, aye. Ms. Cortez Masto.
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto, no. Ms. Warren.
No by proxy.
Ms. Warren, no by proxy. Mr. Sanders.
No.
Mr. Sanders, no. Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, no. Mr. Lujan. Mr. Lujan, no. Mr. Warnock.
No.
Mr. Warnock, no. Mr. Welch. Mr. Welch, no. Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Mr. Chairman, the final tally is 16 ayes, 11 nays.
Thank you. The nomination is reported favorably. I appreciate all of your attendance today at this meeting, and the committee stands in recess.
I've known many, many good people, Republicans and Democrats, who've sought a position in the VA. And every one of them was well-intentioned. And every one of them was certain that they would break through, that they would be the one that would make the difference, that they'd be the one that would take the opportunities for care closer to home and put them on the front page of the website instead of burying them deep so that they never find them. But we do have now in the commander-in-chief and a cabinet that he's picking, people who will put the veteran first, not the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is important. The service providers are important. But the most important person is the veteran, and that's who Doug Collins will look out for. And I'm really, really, really grateful that he's my friend, that he's willing to step into this gap, and I'm ready to support him in every way possible. And so I introduce to you Congressman Doug Collins.